Hello friends. If you're like me, you'll love a national park. Here in the US, there is a robust system of national parks and monuments and other federal lands. Some of Raymond's and my favorites are Bryce Canyon, Zion, and of course, Arizona's Grand Canyon. We also love some of the smaller, less traveled parks like Cedar Breaks and Natural Bridges National Monument. I do have an entire course on landscape photography if you want to do a deep dive, but today I am going to lean on our personal experience with 3 tips for taking pictures in national parks and monuments. All of these apply whether you are shooting with a cell phone, a modern mirrorless marvel, a DSLR, or virtually any device that captures images. First is timing. The early bird gets the worm. And with few exceptions, I would say that the majority of the landscape images, wildlife, and more are taken near sunrise or sunset. If it's colors you're after, that's when you will get the deepest hues, and even clouds and rainstorms can look great. If you do get up early, and I do recommend it at most of the more scenic parks, there's no shame in an afternoon nap. Just be ready for sunset. Don't get me wrong, there's never a bad time to be on a great trip to a wonderful park, but at the Grand Canyon, for example, midday images are impressive, but don't typically compare to images taken at sunrise or sunset. Add some clouds and weather, and you might just capture your own next masterpiece. Clouds and weather. No one can control the weather yet, so you will have to take what Mother Nature gives you. Depending on the park, that can mean an unexpected thunderstorm, sandstorm, or even snow. And not too long ago, when Raymond was reviewing the Nikon Z8, he was staring thunderstorms in the face, but he was flexible, well practiced, and he knew what to do to capture something amazing. Every storm, every weather event is truly unique. We've been to the Grand Canyon when it was covered in fog, and we captured exactly that. In fact, and you may think this way or you may not, but I actually enjoy getting unique images at parks, ones that you won't find in the gift shop, ones that have a unique character or quality. Maybe it was some specific wildlife or a weather event or some combination. It's easy to get frustrated if your trip isn't going or looking quite like you pictured in your mind beforehand. You spent money on the trip, plenty on gear, and no matter how much you want that perfect sunny day, it's not always in the cards or the forecast. And if things get really bad, it's time to lean on my next tip. Many parks have a view or views that they are most closely associated with. This is where tourists flock, including me, to get those photos that communicate the visual essence of the park. But don't forget, and it is easy to forget, that there's plenty more sights and scenes that make each park unique. Maybe it's the lodges, the trains, the buses, all the things that make the park work. I always encourage people to think about the story they want to tell with their images. To me, there's always more of a story if I include the supporting elements. Maybe there's some construction, and in a few years, when it's done, you'll have the behind-the-scenes images. A moment in time that you can point to and say, I was there, that was my trip. Some of my favorite trails are closed at the Grand Canyon this winter. It's an opportunity to explore other areas of the park, both the grand scenes at the viewpoints and behind the scenes of places that I might not normally go if some of those trails were open. Just like the clouds and the weather, the parks are always changing. It's an opportunity to capture those changes and how they happened and how they ended up. To recap, tip number 1, timing. So often this also drives the lighting that you'll experience. Early in the day and late in the day tend to be the keeper images with the wow factor. Tip number 2, be flexible. Your trip won't always happen as you expect. Be ready, be tuned up and practiced with your gear to be ready to make some sweet, sweet lemonade from any lemons that come your way. And tip number 3, capture the whole story and setting. The scenic visuals are always nice, extraordinary even. These are protected lands for a reason, but don't forget to consider capturing everything else that makes your chosen destination truly unique. Remember that I do have a complete course on landscape photography, as well as a few other courses. I will link to those in the description of this video. In all of my courses, I provide you with information, but I also take you through some exercises that you can do with your own camera so that you are prepared for anything when you arrive at your destination, be it a massive national park or a small local garden. Before you click there, let's have some fun in the comments. Tell me about your adventures. Did you follow any of my tips from today? How did things work out when you did? And what are your suggestions for those people ready to pack up for a road trip or a plane trip and capture some scenic greatness? Now it's time for me to plan my next national park trip. Any thoughts on where I should go next? Thank you for watching.